Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Marketing. My name is Sam. I am your host. And with me today in the studio is Kevin Svek of E2M Solutions. What's up, Kevin?
How you doing, Sam? Good to be back.
All right. So today we got a great show. We don't have a guest today, but we are talking about Google, everybody's favorite boogeyman, I guess. Monster, friend. I don't know. I guess it depends where you're.
All the above.
Yeah. We're talking specifically about EAT. All right. So I hope you guys are hungry. We'll get into that a little bit later. But first, I wanted to touch base a little bit about some of the awesome upcoming events that are happening at the AMA San Diego community. We had a great event last week. It was about the State of Marketing report that was done by Q2 Insights, and Freshform presented it. So thanks to those guys. The actual report will be available for download on the website soon. It's a very comprehensive report of the different marketing trends in San Diego and beyond. Q2 Insights interviewed, I think, like 50 or 75 executives in the marketing space and put together qualitative research. Really good read, and that should be available later. So, but upcoming this week, actually on Thursday, we've got a really cool small SIG, which stands for Special Interest Group. It's the Hispanic Marketing SIG, and the topic is real estate trends and marketing to Hispanic audiences in the U.S. and Mexico. So really specific niche there, but it's going to be really fun. It's actually going to be at National University's Campus Cafe. It's led by someone named Hernando de Sima, and he is real estate. He owns a real estate company, and he's going to do a kind of a talk. It's more of a quick talk and networking event over lunch. So it's only like an hour and a half, and it's going to be pretty fun. If you're an AMA member, it's free, which is pretty cool, except you have to buy lunch, I guess. Non-members, it's only $10. So that's cool. And then coming up on the 28th, we have our video marketing special interest group, the Story of Storytelling, which is really interesting. It's going to go through the speaker is Michael Tao, or Tao. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, although I guess he was on the show. Kevin, were you here when he was on that show?
I don't believe so.
We did a podcast with him. He's a really great guy, really awesome videographer and producer and director. And he's doing a talk and a networking event about what is storytelling, why it's important, and how you, most importantly, how you can implement it into your marketing channels, right? Which is the whole point of the AMA having him in, I guess. So really good. It's gonna be. He's the owner of M2 Digital Post, which is a video production and creative company based in Santee. Really excited for that one. A lot of great stuff coming up, and then we also have State of Marketing report, which we just talked about, and then the Art of Marketing conference that's coming up. So keep your eyes peeled for more stuff. You can visit the website, and let's dive into the show here. So, Kevin, today we're talking about EAT. What is it?
So EAT stands for Expertise, Authoritativeness, and Trustworthiness. And it was a big part of the August 1st Google update, and it really hit companies or brands that specialized in anything medical, financial, or legal, the your money, your life sector.
All right, hold on. Let's take a step back for a sec. What was the August 1st update? Let's talk about that.
Well, the August 1st update, it was a big change to Google. A lot of industries got hit. Going back, a lot of the your money, your life industries took a big hit in their rankings. And throughout the 160-page Google guideline update, we saw EAT score played a big factor in how these companies ranks and how they get their content placed on the web.
Okay, so Google. So for those listening out there, we're talking about organic rankings here for non-paid Google search, and August 1st was a bloodbath for a lot of people. I mean, we had some of my specific clients definitely got hit. We didn't see as big of drops as some of the articles I've read about, which is good for us, but for the most part, it's industries that talk about, I don't know, how would you define your money, your life?
Well, yeah, just going back to anything related to medical, financial, legal, anything where it directly impacts consumers' lives.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because they say your money, your life, right? Any time I make a transaction on the web, my money and my life is impacted, right?
It's definitely a gray area term.
So predominantly, if you're in the financial space, the medical space, or what's the other one? The health space?
Yeah.
So
Legal.
I guess legal, yeah. So if you're looking at, let's say you're a law firm out there, right? This is very important to you. If you sell supplements, or if you're some sort of finance consultant or something like that, it's but Google's EAT guidelines also has something about checkout processes and stuff like that we'll get into. So I think the first thing we should define all three aspects of EAT, which Kevin will briefly touch on them, but let's kind of go into the definition of each letter in the acronym here. So why don't we start with the E?
Yeah, so expertise is it's obviously proving that you're an expert in the field, and a lot of it means that the creator of any sort of content just needs to show their skills in their regarded niche. So it's really critical for the industries that are related to medical, financial, and legal websites, where it's much less of a factor if you're writing about humor or gossip or anything like that. So really, it just comes down to the truthfulness and how useful the content is to users.
So yeah, according to Google's guidelines, the E is for the main content of the page, right? So we're talking about a single page here. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with how Google works, you want to make sure that each page that you have is targeting specific keywords, right? So Google defines this as MC, main content, and the E is the person or the site. Is it the person or the site creating the content?
It's the person,
so
the content creator.
So if you are somebody who is responsible for writing, or if you have a team of writers, we're talking about specifically an author bio. So this has changed a lot of websites, right? Because people started to you had to put author bios in the bottom of your pieces, right? Especially in the Your Money, Your Life section, which we'll talk about in the next segment, because we only have like 3.5 minutes here. So that's really interesting. It's the person who's writing the piece, right? Or the group that's writing the piece. So what is authority?
So according to Google's guidelines, again, it stems from expertise. It deals with the creator of the main content itself, and the website as a whole. So a lot of it comes down to the credentials you establish, going back to the author bio, personal experiences that relates to reviews, or if your content's posted on a community forum or anything like that with a discussion, the quality of the conversation also plays a factor in driving authority.
Yeah, so this is interesting, I think, because it's like a blend of other factors, right? And I just don't really, I guess I understand it, but it's interesting to me that they keep it so vague, right? They say look, you just have to be awesome at everything, right? Or you have to be the best source of information on the web, which is just interesting because a lot of, especially in the Your Money, Your Life stuff, there's competing ideas, right? In a lot of situations, right? Especially in finance and stocks and all that stuff, right? So that's really interesting to me.
Well, I think the biggest difference with authority and expertise is all about the quality of the main content that you write, whereas authority is more of the validation from readers or other experts and just the strength of your bio and your credentials.
Definitely. That's interesting. All right, so then getting a little bit even more vague, I guess, is the trustworthiness factor, the T of the EAT. So what's that all about?
Yeah, referencing the Google guidelines again, it deals with just how reputable the creator of the content is, the main content itself is, and the website, which I know sounds very similar to what we just said about authoritativeness, but there's a few external factors. For example, a big part is the technical aspect of the platform that the content's released on. Like, is it secure? Is there a SSL certificate? Is there trust seals? Is it, when people go on the page, does it not look sketchy? Does it look like their information is going to be safe? That plays a big role. And trustworthiness comes into play a lot for e-commerce sites or anything where there's financial interactions. So yeah, it just comes down to, is your page safe? Is a big part of it. And is the content you write, is that safe?
Yeah, and also I think what is the purpose of the piece, right?
Right.
If you're just like using it as a way to manipulate the search algorithm, right? Google's trying to figure that out, right? Because they want you to write content that's valuable for the users, right? And the purpose, I think, I would say maybe the purpose of the piece comes into play with trustworthiness. But, it needs to be like, keyword stuff. Your title can't be all weird, right?
I think, the underlying factor they're trying to get to with the whole concept of trustworthiness is, there's certain sites that you go on the web and, you see the brand colors, you see the URLs, and it's like instantly, okay, I know this is a good site. Like, for example, my favorite blogger is Neil Patel. Like, I read his blogs every day. And as soon as I see the colors, I see the URL, I know, okay, I'm getting really good information from this site.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think it also goes back to being able to see and get information about the page, right? Who are these people? Can you contact them? Google has a whole thing about being able to display like your contact us,
right?
And being able to have a phone number to call. Like, that's really important, right? But we'll come back in a second. This is This Week in Marketing on WS Radio. Thanks so much.
A podcast or radio show on WS Radio is a great way to create content marketing. Turn prospects into customers into raving fans. Contact Wade at WSRadio.com or call 866-WS-RADIO.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on VinVillage Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children.
After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
One person has the power to change the world, impact millions of lives, and leave a legacy for lifetimes to come. That person is you. In the New York Times bestseller, What is Your What? Steve Olsher, award-winning author and founder of the Reinvention Workshop, reveals his proven process that has helped thousands of men and women discover, share, and monetize the one thing they were born to do. Grab your free copy now at www.whatisyourwhat.com/free. That's www.whatisyourwhat.com/free.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Marketing. I'm your host, Sam Wheeler, and with me, my co-host, Kevin Speck.
Hello.
E2M Solutions. We're pretty stoked on this show today. We're talking about EAT. EAT. It's Google's trust and page rating guidelines that actually came out in 2016, right? And there was a Google algorithm
2015.
2015, and there was an algorithm update on the first that, while Google didn't give any specific guidelines into how to rebound from this, all the SEOs out there just pretty much unanimously agreed that it was part of this EAT guidelines. And then also, I think in September, Google released an updated page quality rating guidelines for everybody, which is like a 164-page document. Kevin alluded to it earlier. We'll have that document available for you to read. It's a really interesting read. We're going to get into a little bit of that document in a second here, and there'll be some other links in the show notes too to show how trustworthy we are as a website. But yeah, so cool. We're talking. This whole segment is about expertise. Right? How can you improve your expertise? How can you prove that you are an expert? Right? And this kind of hits at a lot of people's egos, right? So if you own a website, right? If you own a finance or a investment firm, right? You should just pick, well, I'm an expert. They should just know, right? And that's not the case.
Doesn't work like that.
Google's robot doesn't care about you, right? They just want to make sure there's other things that prove that you are an expert in the space. Now, my first question to you, Kevin, is can you just say in your author bio, Sam is an expert?
You can, but you got to prove it. According to Google's guidelines, they define two types of experts. There's formal experts, which relates to anything, medical, financial, legal, and it just proves that you're a reliable source of information. And then there's the everyday experts, which talks about everything from personal blogs to humor, house cleaning, any of that. And the industries that got hit hardest in this update were the formal experts, or that was the biggest factor in determining EAT score. So yeah, going back to your example, if you say, oh, Sam is an expert, well, you need to prove your formal expertise in the content you write and how you establish authority, trustworthiness, and all that.
So how can you prove that you are an expert on the specific page, your MC, your main content?
Yeah. So are we talking about, for example, so if you run a company, proving expertise on your company website?
Yeah, well, because if we're talking for the EAT score of a page, right, you need to prove that the person writing it or the group writing it is an expert. So I think that's usually fixed or usually addressed with a bio at the end of the article, right? In some cases, I don't think there necessarily is one, but for a lot of, especially editorial pieces, it's important to have an author bio. So what do you think should go in the author bio?
If we're talking about expertise, we're really focusing on the main content. So this is why, in order to prove expertise, what a lot of companies are doing, they're really pushing personal branding. Just to build up a reputation for a specific author within a company to produce really high quality content. Because what it comes down to, we've heard it all the time, people trust people more than they trust brands. So a lot of what establishing expertise is, it's about, for example, if you're a marketing website and you want to get your name out there, establish your expertise. It helps a lot to take your senior executives, your high up employees, and build a personal brand for them. Just get them a reputation out there for producing very high quality content and, conveying good thought leadership skills. And what we're seeing is a lot of the insight that comes from qualified individuals holds a lot more weight than what comes from businesses themselves.
Okay, that's really interesting. So we're going to talk about, speaking of that whole expertise in building your brand, right? one of the things that I find really interesting about this whole, quality guidelines page is one of their examples of a low score. Okay. In one of their literally they've got a whole table in this document of examples, right? And why they are scored in a certain way. So one of them, which I find amazing, is a website called WikiHow, which everybody has pretty much heard of. They have an insane rankings. A lot of it's user generated, but they still rank for a lot of terms, right? So they show this. They have a link. Well, not necessarily a link, but a example of one of their articles about how to pick a quality stock for investment. And it's this really long piece that has graphs and clips and step by step, right? It's to be honest, a pretty solid piece of content, right? It's got tips, it's got warnings, it's got related articles, which is internal linking, right? Mm-hmm. And what I find really interesting about it is it also has sources and citations, right? But there's no specific author bio, right? Or there's no it says who edited it last, right? So this is technically UGC, which, Google knows is the difference, right? But what they say in their guidelines is there is no evidence that, I'm quoting here, there's no evidence that the author has financial expertise. Because this is a YMYL financial article, lacking expertise is a reason for a low rating, right? So going back to the Your Money, Your Life discussion, you could have the best page in the world, right? But if you don't have proof that you, the author of the piece, whether it be through your website as a whole or through the actual person writing the piece, then you're still going to get a low quality rating, which to me is, I don't know, I don't want to say mind-boggling, but it's bizarre, right? Because Google knows WikiHow, right? So they specifically called this article out on purpose. So my question is, if you're a WikiHow, what do you do to improve your expertise, right? When you've got articles about millions of topics.
That's a really interesting point. Is WikiHow trying to improve their expertise? What goes on at Wikipedia and, pretty much everything they do behind the scenes. I know they've got very, very diligent fact checkers on everything they do. Like if you look at a Wikipedia article, you'll notice every once in a while an article gets tweaked by a user. And then, that's only up for a couple minutes, and then the WikiFact squad comes in and changes it. So, in terms of that, I think maybe the fact squad has the expertise that Google already knows. And then...
Yeah, so I think the answer is putting in something at the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. Saying who wrote it, why they wrote it, and maybe even having like an internal link to an extended author bio. Just kind of spitballing here, but, I would say especially if I'm a in-person quality rater, right? Mm-hmm. I would want to be able to click to internal link on the page that explains in more detail, more than like 2 sentences, right? Like why somebody's amazing. So, with like accolades and stuff like that, right? And so I don't really know if that's an answer, but, that's something I would do. And I think, to be honest, that's where I think the author bios are a big part of expertise. And, maybe your author bio doesn't have to be on the actual page, but it needs to be somewhere, I think. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Kevin?
Yeah, I totally agree. You just have to have, the author bio is where you really prove why you're qualified to write a certain piece. Like, if we're going back to the Your Money, Your Life, like, for me, I know nothing about the medical field, but if I'm writing an article on, the keto diet or the paleo diet, like, I have to prove in my bio why I'm an expert, which, I'm obviously not, but if I were, that's where I'd have to do it.
Cool.
Which is why this affects the Your Money, Your Life thing so much. Like, going back to this example, if someone who's totally underqualified in the medical field, wrote something about a paleo diet that could potentially have dangerous side effects for the reader. And the same goes for anything legal or financial, which is why expertise is such a big factor these days.
Yeah, totally agree. It's expertise is a tough thing to come by, right? And I think what we should talk about, we got like a minute here. We should talk about from what you've seen with your clients, what do you think should be in the author bio? Should you talk about, a lot of times when I write a piece, I put like the catchphrase that I use at the end is, when he's not surfing the web, you can find him off the coast of Southern California surfing the evening swell. Mm-hmm. Like, does that add value? Should I cut that out from my bio? Like, should I have the same bio every time? Right? What do you think is the solution there?
I mean, I don't think technically any of that casual talk about surfing the swell is doing you any harm, but I think some of the most important things you need to convey in the author bio is, who you are, what your profession is, the longevity of your career, other companies you've worked for, some success stories, anything that just, when someone reads your bio, it says, okay, this person clearly knows what they're doing. I posted a good example of this. I wrote a piece for Blog Herald that went live yesterday, which I'll post in the episode write-up, which has an example of a really good bio written by a personal trainer who, so for example, in her bio, she puts, she's a certified personal trainer, 4-time marathoner, she's a triathlete, she's addicted to CrossFitting, she's been in the industry for over 10 years, she's been featured on this website, that website, just listing all her credentials out there. And that is an example of a really high-quality bio.
Should we have links in the bio?
I mean, I don't see that doing any harm. I think it actually helps, especially if you have, for example, if you've got a really good piece of quality content you wrote.
Let's touch on this after the break here. We'll be back soon. This is This Week in Marketing on WSRadio.com.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. Securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. Securingourecity.org.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Kenja Dixon was crowned the #1 sales executive through hard work, deep thinking, and the revelation of universal talk laws. He now wants to share these lessons with you. Universal talk laws are what you need to know and use in business and at home to have successful and effective conversations. Kenja Dixon shares his wisdom, action plans, and wealth. Each book comes with a chance to win $10,000. Find Universal Talk Laws at KenjaDixon.com.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Marketing. We are talking about EAT, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. It's interesting because a lot of the literature out there says, very specifically breaks up E and A, right? But as we're kind of going through the guidelines here, it seems to blend together. I mean, I don't know if everything has to be broken apart as like segmented like that, where, I feel like when you're having a piece, expertise and authoritativeness is like all hand in hand, right? But there are slight differences between the two, and which, I think we're going to get into in a second. So let's go over authoritativeness. What is that?
Yeah, so it stems from expertise. There's definitely a lot of overlap. But I like to think of it like when you're establishing expertise, it's about you writing the content and you writing really good quality content that you're qualified to write. Whereas authoritativeness, it relates to just kind of the validation you get from others and just proves why your expertise is noteworthy. So a lot of it has to do with like credentials, recommendations from others, building high quality inbound links, and getting reviews, driving good conversations. So I guess the main difference is expertise is totally in your control based on the quality of the content you write, whereas authoritativeness is the validation from others that your content is quality.
Yeah, definitely. And so listen, I'm going to do another example here, which straight from the source, which I love to do because it's kind of hard to argue with those, right?
Yep.
So this page is an example of the highest quality page that exists. Okay. It's actually a backpack, a product page for a backpack from LL Bean, the LL Bean Deluxe Book Pack reviewed. So what I find really interesting about this is here's Google's explanation for why it gave it the highest rating. Since the store produces this backpack, they are experts on the product, making the page on their own website authoritative, right? So basically they're saying they produce backpacks, they know about it, they are authoritative in the space, right? In addition, this store has a reputation for producing one of the highest quality and most popular school backpacks on the market. High praise from Google over there. But, it's interesting. They also talk about reviews in this explanation here, and then it has it's a lot of helpful information as well as 600 user reviews. So what do you make of that?
I think it's really interesting that they go back to they credited the first part that you said, since the store produces this backpack. I thought that was a really interesting part of this update. And then they go to another example in the guidelines of kind of like a third-party seller selling Nike products, and that page ranks very low. That's such an interesting concept to me. That goes into a lot of things. To go off on a little bit of a tangent here, take Tesla, for example. Like, they don't use any third-party sellers to sell their products whatsoever. And they're obviously the cream of the crop when it comes to electric cars. And that's just the common perception. So I think it's really interesting if you have complete control over your product, how it sells, where it's marketed, how it's managed. That gives you good authority. I thought that was a really interesting part of the update.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I also didn't point out here about this LL Bean example is they qualify this backpack shopping page as a your money, your life, right? So, which is interesting because it doesn't fall in the category that we talked about earlier, right? So what I'm kind of getting at here is I think any type of transactional e-commerce site is technically falls within the your money, your life category. And that's the your money part, right? Not just your financial health, but the money that you spend on the web, right? And I don't know if, that's people are going to agree with me there, but literally it's in the guidelines as an example, right? So maybe they're not scrutinized as much. This is pure speculation, obviously, but if it's in there, it literally says backpacks shopping page, and then in parentheses YMYL, right? So it's tough to argue with that.
Right.
So, I think that's a good thing to keep in mind, especially for e-commerce sites out there is, if you're transacting on the web, you need to pay attention to this stuff, right? And, then here's another question for you, Kevin. How do you improve your authoritativeness? What can we do there?
Well, in terms of product pages, I think the reviews are playing just a monumental factor in how pages are ranked these days. And I think more importantly is for brands seeking reviews, they need to get a Google verified review partner. I'm thinking some of the ones that come to mind: Trustpilot, Yapto. Did I say that right? Yapto? Is that the brand? But anyway, I think one of the biggest things is getting Google verified reviews, because a lot of what's happening, what was happening, I mean, customer reviews have been around. The first case of online customer reviews happened towards the end of the Clinton administration, where people could review political figures, and that's really spiraled into, it just turned into such a powerful thing to make sales. And so what would happen is brands would seek out fake reviews. They would manufacture their own. And in the past couple of years, Google has really cracked down upon that and has made Google verified review partners a huge factor in how pages are ranked. And so when it comes to anything financially related, I think that's going to be an even bigger factor in the future in building authority.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, I don't want to be I don't want to be a broken record here, but you need to include the author bio on your website.
Oh yeah,
right.
Definitely.
And we find that's like if you could take away one thing from this entire show today, is that if you don't have author bio or some sort of explanation as to why you are an expert and why you're authoritative on the topic, you need to have that on your site. And maybe even it's as simple, I guess not as simple, but you should also have kind of like about us page, right? Explain who you are, right? Outside of the off page factors, right? Who you are, why you're qualified, maybe something with like the accolades that you've had as a company, not just as an individual. But I can't stress enough how important it is to prove why you are authoritative, which, it's interesting because, the LL Bean article that or the LL Bean product page, there's no bio on that page. You don't need a bio for that. I guess what we're talking about is a difference between editorial content and commercial content, right? So it's important to kind of keep those separate. But from commercial standpoint, you have to be able to, if you don't produce the product, what can you do to prove you're authoritative in that space? I guess that's a good kind of tangent there.
Well, I think producing editorial content, like starting at the blog section, proving why you are so qualified to, make sure people get the best product is what it comes down to.
I like that.
I heard a really interesting line a couple days ago that kind of the trend of the online world is people are trying to be more like brands and brands are trying to be more like people. I thought that was a really interesting quote. So when it comes to brands trying to be people, it's all about making it clear that, behind the logos and the slogans and the color scheme and the aesthetics, there's people just like you and me. And when it comes down to that, you need to prove that those people know what they're talking about and they have your best interest at heart. And I think that's really what brands need to do to not only prove expertise, and then they need to do that to solidify their authority and why they're qualified to sell certain products and services.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting too, because now you're talking about sort of external factors that proves that you're the best, right? So what I'm wondering is, for all the people out there, let's say if you do drop shipping or you have transactional intent on your site, but you don't manufacture the products, right? Could you do you think like a seal would help, or like we're an official retailer of blah, 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 right?
I think seals, they help a lot when it comes to trustworthiness, because that's like people see that and bam, okay, this site's trustworthy. Like, yeah, I mean, that's why they're called trust seals.
Yep.
But yeah, I think in terms of, third-party sellers proving their authority, I think it just comes down to getting more expertise-related content out there. The more expertise you have out on the web, the more authoritative you'll be.
So using editorial content to boost your commercial pages, right?
Yeah.
Which is a tactic that we've seen time and time again, right? Especially outside of just the eat aspect. If you want to rank for those terms, Google's not going to rank you for, if you're a financial website, they're not going to rank you for a page about like red shoes, right? Unless you've got a bunch of crap about red shoes and you know what you're talking about.
Right.
So that's a really interesting kind of segment there. Now, specifically for ranking editorial pages, do you use the same strategy? If you want to rank an editorial page for how to invest in stocks, do you have to write a bunch of other articles about how to invest in stocks, or how can you, for WikiHow, for example, what do they need to do from an authority standpoint?
I think from an editorial standpoint, something I've really been trying to push in my own content team at E2M is the ability to keep people on your page and reading your piece of content. Like, for example, if you're writing about stock investments, if you give, a 6-tip guide, for example, step one is, okay, do your research. And, you list a couple things. But when you say do your research, you need to provide information that people can get on your page. Like, your tip shouldn't be, do your research. And then your tip essentially leads other people to going to 10 other websites to get the information they need. Whereas building authority should all be about having all that information on your site within your editorial content, so people don't have to move around to a bunch of different resources to get what they need to know.
Yeah, that it's interesting. I guess I just don't understand why. I guess here's a good question for you. Why would let's bring it to the break right now.
For the next one.
Yeah, we'll save it for the next one. We got a good discussion going. This is This Week in Marketing from AMA San Diego on WSRadio.com.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple, and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com, on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goley, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get to the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
Did you know the majority of radio listeners are between the ages of 35 and 54, have a household income of more than $100,000, are classified as executives or professionals, and share the show they listen to? Become part of the Peggy Smedley Show to reach listeners looking for information on connected devices through cost-effective radio commercials or segment sponsorships. Contact us at 630-933-0844 for more information or visit PeggySmedleyShow.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Marketing. We are talking about eat. I'm hungry for more. I just wish we could talk about this stuff for the whole day, right? Spend the whole workday doing it. My name is Sam Wheeler. We got Kevin Speck in the studio as well, my co-host here, and we're talking about Eat Score. We're on to the trustworthiness factor. And to be honest, I don't think this is going to take us a full 8.5 minutes to do. So wanted to start kind of just going through kind of like a review of what we already talked about. So Kevin, you want to take us through the first two quickly?
Yeah. So we first started by talking about expertise, which is, there's formal expertise, which are really like doctors, lawyers, financial experts. And then there's everyday expertise, which is people talking about everyday topics, humor, blogs, gossip. And then we went into authority, which is about, establishing your credentials and making it clear, getting the validation that you are an expert in the field. And this can include, building high quality links, getting good reviews, especially for e-commerce pages. And, really just the concept that product pages from brands, like in the LL Bean example, because they make their own products, they do everything under the LL Bean banner, that they get favored in the search engines.
Okay, cool. So the next question I have for you is, how is being an expert and being authoritative in your space not automatically make you trustworthy?
That's a good question.
What elements on your website or your page help increase your trustworthiness?
Well, I think trustworthiness is something that comes after a long time, and there's definitely external elements that help with this. A lot of it's just having a high quality platform that people feel safe in, including trust seals, having HTTPS address, especially for e-commerce websites or anything where you're taking financial information. That plays a huge factor in, because it just plays
get secure.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
HTTPS. I think there's. I don't have it actually in front of me, but I'm pretty sure even if you've got all the other factors, if you are having a checkout process that's not secure, you're going to fall low on those that trustworthiness guidelines.
Right.
So we talked about a little bit about the seals, right? We also want to make sure that you're clearly giving your website information, right? Where can you contact us? Where's the customer service? They specifically talk about customer service in the guidelines. And how do you, Kevin, let me ask you this question. Why would somebody hide their phone number? What's the point of that?
That's a good question. I don't know why anyone would hide their phone number.
So,
especially if they're looking to get sales and improve their customer service.
Yeah, exactly. So in the characteristics of high quality pages, one of the sentences in the bullet points here says, if the page is primarily for shopping or includes financial transactions, then it should have a satisfying customer service information.
It's got to be easy to reach.
Yes. If you do not have on your website an easy way for Google to get to your About Us page or your customer service page, you should probably include that. I mean, think about too, just from the robot's perspective too. The robot needs to be able to get around your page. So I don't know, maybe even like an internal link to your customer service on your page, right? And even if it's not in most companies have them in the footer already. But maybe throw a link in the main content, see if that helps. I mean, there's a lot of ways to test all this stuff. But, obviously it depends on a lot of UX and stuff like that. But I find that really interesting. So for trust, we got get secure. If you're not secure, I don't know what planet you're on, but
you're in trouble.
But go there right now. Make sure you have satisfying customer service information. You can easily have about the company, and if somebody has any questions, they can ask.
So, Sam, I got a quick question for you, backing up to customer service. Do you think it helps? Companies everywhere are including a live chat feature directly on their product pages. Do you think that plays a role in trustworthiness? Or do you think that would maybe cancel out like a phone number or a contact information?
Yeah, I think so. I guess it depends on who is reviewing the page, right? If it's a human that's reviewing the page, then yeah, I think that would help. But if it's something that Google's robot can't read, then I don't think it helps. You know what I'm saying? So, as the robot does the automated scoring, and then that it's probably helpful if it's in your if you're like pre-rendering the JavaScript or whatever. I don't mean it because it's live. I don't think they would be able to read it. I guess I'm not an expert in that, so I don't really know. But I think from a actual user standpoint, yeah, for sure. Okay. Okay. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was social signals. Right? Do you think social signals help you with your authoritativeness or your trust or your
absolutely.
expertise?
Absolutely. I think shareability is a huge factor that plays into your authoritativeness and your trustworthiness. Because, I mean, if you write a piece of editorial content and it gets 5,000 shares, clearly you're doing something right. And Google definitely picks up on that.
Okay. Yeah, totally. Now, do you think specifically getting the check on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, whatever, the approved, do you think that would help that specific example? Like, should a company be like, all right, I need to get approved by Twitter or whatever, however you do that whole process? I think there's like an application process for it now. But you go into that story about the quarterback was for the 49ers, right? Halfway through the game, he was like his debut on the field, right, as a pro, and he crushed it. And then halfway through the game, Twitter gave him like a check mark on his Twitter profile, which is interesting, right? Because you can do it that way if you're like talked about, but if you're a small brand, I think you have to apply for it. I don't really know the whole process behind it, but I wonder if that helps.
Well, yeah, we actually, my company, we ran a podcast with Dr. Pete from Moz a couple weeks ago, and I actually asked him a very similar question. If Google's pulling credentials and information from like social media, like are you verified in Twitter? What are your credentials on LinkedIn? What kind of content do you post? And it's not clear yet, is what we got from that.
Okay.
But to be honest, to me, it sounds like those should play a factor in how content's ranked, like your credentials on LinkedIn, especially if you're writing about something very technical.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. I think there's a factor in not necessarily your actual ranking, but in maybe your authoritativeness or your trust, right? But before we break here, I wanted to go over what makes a low quality page, right? Specifically from Google's guidelines here. Just so you guys, at the end of the show here, you've got a little bit of some more takeaways than we already have. All right. Low quality content is somebody who doesn't have adequate experience. The website is not authoritative. An example here is tax information on a cooking website. Or the MC is not trustworthy, meaning a shopping checkout page that has an insecure connection. Okay, so we're going to go to a little bit more specifics about each one of these bullets. We have a minute left here. Low quality content, all right? If it's created without time, effort, expertise, or talent or skill, okay, they don't achieve their purpose, right? Pretty obvious. Write a piece that achieves its purpose, right?
Answers the burning questions. Yeah.
The next one is an unsatisfying amount of main content, right? It depends what they specifically call out what the purpose of the article is, right? They say if a topic such as World War II should not have a few paragraphs. It should have a lot of info. If you need to know what time it is in Philadelphia, then probably should be one sentence, right? So it really depends on that. This is really important too, and most people know this from the interstitial penalty, but distracting ads, okay? Difficulty for the user to access the MC, pages with ads or other distracting interstitials, will cause you to have a low quality rating.
especially if they're irrelevant ads. But that's a beast for a whole nother day.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last one is negative reputation of the website, right? If you've got a bad BBB rating, got to figure that out. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. We had a great show today, and we will see you next time. This is AMA San Diego's This Week in Marketing on WSRadio.com.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. Securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. Securingourecity.org.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book Virtual Assistant, the series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Hi, Scale listener. This is David Finkel, co-host with Jeff Hoffman of Scale Your Business. I wanted to let you know that our newest book, Scale, was just released, and to encourage you to get your copy. The book will give you 7 proven principles to grow your business and get your life back. Scale will help you work less by getting your business to produce more. Get your copy online or at your local bookseller. For more information, visit us online at scaleyourbusinesstoolkit.com.